What's the really awkward situation that everyone can relate with? When you start to tell a story in a group but in middle of sentence realize that no one is actually listening, and ever so slowly you get quiet and hope no one took notice. Edit. Wow. Seems someone did take notice this time. When you've had multiple interactions with someone, but you can't remember their name, but it's gone too far to admit you've forgotten it, so you just have to call them love or mate forever. Saying hello or how are you to somebody and getting 100% ignored. When you try to contribute to a conversation and someone cuts you off multiple times, and you patiently wait for your turn to speak, even though it already was. But by the time the air is clear, the subject has already changed and what you were going to say is now irrelevant. I used to be a habitual cutter off, for when I was younger I wasn't trying to be rude. I was just excited for what I had to say. I've reformed that behavior now, but if I notice this happening to someone else, I'll make sure to call attention to the person trying to talk. What was that, John? Or something along those lines, to make sure everyone is heard. When you're having a conversation with someone, and you don't hear what they say, so you ask them to repeat and they do. But you still don't hear and ask them to repeat again and they do. And you still don't know what they said. Do you ask them to repeat again, and maybe still not hear it? Pretend you heard it and nod your head and hope it's an appropriate response? Stab yourself in the eye with a pen to create a diversion and change the subject? When you're walking past a coworker and you've already said hello earlier, everyone's making that weird flat smile. When you're finishing up at the checkout, and the cashier puts the notes on top of the receipt, and then coins on top of that. Then the next person steps up and you're fumbling, trying to disassemble the stack in your hand. Gather your shopping. Say thanks and move away at the same time. Being at a friend's house as a kid and the friend's mother starts yelling at your friend. Being at a friend's house as a kid and the friend's father walks in only wearing underwear. That awkward moment where you and somebody else try to let each other speak, but you both try speak at the same time and just keep failing. When you think someone waves at you, so you wave back, but they were waving at someone behind you. You ever clogged a toilet in somewhere that wasn't your house? When you walk out of the store empty-handed, feeling like you've just stole something. When you reply to a stranger who says hello, but then realize they were on the phone and not speaking to you. Happened to me just yesterday, and I didn't get any sleep last night, as I couldn't stop reliving the moment. When you're saying goodbye to someone, and then you both end up walking in the same direction. Or when you turn and walk into a wall with people watching. Ever drag your shoe across a tile floor and have it make a loud, wet, fart sound, so everyone in the room looks at you? Then you insist it was your shoe and try to make the sound again, but nothing happens? Yeah. That. When you go for a hug but the other person goes for a handshake, so you start with a handshake, but do a weird hug at the same time with your hands in each other's crotches. Watching a sex scene with your parents. Visited my aunt and uncle 7 years ago and we were hanging out watching TV. My uncle clicks through channels and stops on Harold and Kumar Escape from Guantanamo Bay. Within minutes it's the shaved pussy party scene. My aunt and uncle sit there in silence watching, not saying anything until the scene is over while I sweat bullets. If you put an acorn between my butt cheeks I could have cracked it. A few months ago I visit again. Uncle flips through channels. It's Starship Troopers. Within minutes it's a sex scene and the boobies are out. I'm not visiting anymore. Someone showing everyone in the group something on their phone and waiting until it is your turn. Even worse if it never makes it to you, and you have to pretend you're not secretly dying to know what it is. Go to wash your hands and the water comes out at 1,000 miles an hour, splashing your crotch. You are, of course, at work. When you're walking on the sidewalk with two other friends, and you're the person that does not fit so you have to stay behind them. Having happy birthday sung to you. When you're walking behind someone that has a slightly slower pace than you, so you start to pass them, but then have that awkward moment when you're walking next to them before you cut in front of them. Worse is when it's also a narrow corridor, and you can see people coming towards you from ahead, and you trying to do math to figure out if you'll be able to overtake the slow walker without running into those people like a car. When you're next in line at the grocery store with your mom, and she leaves you to just get one more thing and the anxiety and awkwardness builds because you're up and she's nowhere to be found. When you're out and someone approaches you with a "no hi, insert name, nice to see you again," and you have no idea who that person is? Being expected to make polite conversation while having a gynecological exam, there you are, pussy exposed, legs spread wide. Someone is stuffing something up your vagina. and you are expected to be able to talk about the weather. Also, when your dental assistant wants to chat, but her hands are in your mouth, so when you type your password in the username box while someone is watching, then you have the act like you didn't just write shrimpycum S6969 in plain view. When someone tries to give you a fist bump but you go for a high five, then you just say, punch blocked, and play it off. You are surrounded by strangers, let's say a bus, no cell phone, no headphones. You remember a really stupid and funny thing and you start laughing. Congratulations. Now everyone is looking at you asking why the fuck you're laughing. This one goes out to the girls who didn't have a lot of powerful uplifting women in their lives. But the first time a girl has to buy pads, tampons, it's really awkward, like you're letting the whole world know your baby maker is working. I know when I was 10 and I had to do this, I was so terrified, weirded out. I thought everyone was watching me. As a dude, same feeling when buying condoms for the first time. When you are on a video chat for school, work, etc. and you let out a loud one only to realize you weren't muted.